Bernie Sanders. Bernie. President Bernie. You know, I feel weird using words like values and morals because those are words that have been co-opted by people who wear them as shrouds to justify terrible things. I'd like to take those words back tonight and use them to describe Bernie Sanders. Because his moral compass and sense of values inspires me. He always seems to be on the right side of history, and it takes a very brave and very empathetic and very visionary person to do that. Not only was Bernie fighting for civil rights in the 60s, I may have made that last one up. Where other candidates are getting gigantic sums of money from billionaires in exchange for compromising favors, Bernie is not for sale. Is it pop or coke? I think it's either way, like Goldstein, they both work. Where the Koch brothers have been pouring hundreds of millions into Republican candidates. For instance, they just gave Ted Cruz $15 million. Bernie raised $15 million from 250,000 human people making donations. Not from the Koch brothers, not from Goldman Sachs, not from Monsanto. He is a man of the people. He has to be. His name is Bernie. And he's a man for the people. He has to be. He's from Vermont. You know, I have a friend named Tall John. He's very tall. It's a non-ironic nickname. And I always go to him when I'm not sure what the right thing to do is, because he has that kind of compass. And I see that in Bernie. He seems to care solely about what is right, what is best for people. And people are what America is made out of, so it works great. He says what he means, and he means what he says, and he is not for sale. You can't buy him, and I just think that is so neat. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you, if we're all very smart and a little bit lucky, the next President of the United States, Senator
Los Angeles, thank you for being here tonight. Let me thank Simone, Joe, Maria, Dante, Kristen, and Sarah for those wonderful words of welcome. We began this campaign about 3.5 months ago. And the momentum, as you can see tonight, has been extraordinary. Fantastic turnouts in my hometown of Burlington, Vermont, in Minneapolis, in Denver, in Madison, Wisconsin, in Dallas, in Houston, in Portland, Maine, New Orleans, in Seattle, in Portland, Oregon, and tonight, with the overflow crowd, we have more than 27,000. This is a campaign on the move, and together, this is a campaign that's going to end in victory. This campaign is not a billionaire-funded campaign, it is a people campaign. We don't take money from billionaires. We don't take money from corporations. And yet we have received more individual contributions than any other campaign. Yes, we don't have the money, but when people stand together, there is nothing we can't accomplish. What this campaign is about is bringing people together. Black and white, straight and gay, men and women, native born and immigrant. When we stand together, when we do not allow our opponents to break us up and divide us, when we stand united, we can create a new America. By reiterating a point that Simone and others have made, and that is there is no president, none, 1 year after the death of Michael Brown, no president who will fight harder to end institutional racism than I will. Push harder for fundamental changes in our criminal justice system. We do not want to be the country on earth that has more people in jail than any other country. We want to be the country which has the best educated population, and where our young people are in school or at work, not in jail. Sometimes the media asked me, a couple of months ago, they said, well, Bernie Sanders, he's a kind of a fringe guy. Who believes that, when Bernie talks about taking on the billionaire class, nobody believes that's possible. But all over America, people are saying loudly and clearly that this country belongs to all of us and not a handful of people. And this campaign is different, not just because of the vision that we have, but because of the kind of campaign we are running. Let me be very straightforward with you. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can take on the Koch brothers, can take on corporate America, can take on the corporate media all by himself. We need a grassroots political revolution. This revolution is about is not just electing Bernie Sanders as president. What this political revolution is about is transforming the United States of America. And to do that, I need your help, not just during the campaign. I will need your help the day after the election as well. Now, the reason why we are doing well in this campaign is because we are telling the truth. The reality of American life today. We are talking about a reality in which almost all of the wealth and income in this country is going to the top 1%. We are talking about the United States having more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth, and we are going to change that. We are talking about over half of all new income generated today going to the top 1%, and we are going to change that. The issue of income and wealth inequality in its broadest sense is the great moral issue of our time, the great economic issue of our time, the great political issue of our time, and we together are going to address it. There is something profoundly wrong when the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. There is something profoundly wrong when in recent years we have seen a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires, and yet today we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. There is something profoundly wrong when one family, the owners of Walmart, own more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. There is something profoundly wrong when in the last 2 years, the 14 wealthiest people in America saw their wealth increase by $156 billion, more wealth than is owned by the bottom 130 million Americans. This is an economy which is rigged, which is designed to benefit the people on top. And together we are going to create an economy that works for all people, not just a handful of billionaires. Message to the billionaire class, and that message is you can't have it all. You can't get huge tax breaks when children in our country are going hungry. Shut down factories in America and send our jobs abroad when millions of Americans need jobs here. You cannot continue to hide billions in profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens. And the billionaire class are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. But it is not just income and wealth inequality. It is the tragic reality that for the last 40 years, the great middle class, once the envy of the entire world, has been disappearing. Despite exploding technology and increased worker productivity, median family income today is almost $5,000 less than it was in 1999. In my state of Vermont and here in California, it is not unusual for people to be working 2 jobs 3 jobs, 4 jobs, just to cobble together some income and some health care. That is not the economy we need. We will not accept people working 40 or 50 hours a week and then having to go to the emergency food shelf in order to get food to feed their families. We will not accept a mom and dad going to work at low wages, not able to find decent quality child care for their kids. People not being able to go to the doctor because they have no health insurance or they have a high deductible. When we talk about the economy, it is important for us to understand what real unemployment is in America, and it's not what you may think it is. Every month, the government publishes a statistic called the official unemployment rate, which is now about 5.3%. But what that study does not include are people who have given up looking for work and the millions of people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time. Together, it turns out that real unemployment in America is about 10.5%. That means there are millions of people living in desperation, wanting to work, who cannot work. And let me tell you something that is hardly ever discussed. One of the kind of fun things about running for president is you can bring issues out from under the rug and demand discussion. And let me tell you, now other candidates may not talk about it, the media may not report it. But let me tell you about an American tragedy today, and that is the unacceptably high rate of youth unemployment. A couple of months ago, I asked the Economic Policy Institute to take a look at what real youth unemployment is. That means people who have no jobs, looking for jobs, or working part-time. And they looked at high school graduates between the ages of 17 and 20. And this is what they found. If those kids were white, real unemployment was 33%. If the kids were Hispanic, real unemployment, 36%. If the kids were African American, real unemployment, 51%. This is an issue that cannot continue to be ignored. That high unemployment rates for kids is not connected to the fact that we have more people in jail than any other country, you would be sorely mistaken. It seems to me to make a lot more sense to be investing in education and jobs than incarceration and jail. important for us all to know that millions of Americans are working at totally inadequate wages. The current federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. And let me congratulate Los Angeles for raising the minimum wage over a period of a few years to $15 an hour. And what Los Angeles did, what Seattle did, what other communities are doing is exactly what we have got to do at the national level. To suggest that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty. And when we talk about fair wages, I would hope that every man in this audience will stand with women demanding pay equity. Reason why women should be making 78 cents on the dollar compared to men. We got to fight for pay equity. Many of you have heard my Republican colleagues talk about family values. Have you heard that? Our Republican friends just love families. But you know, and I know, what they mean by family values. What they mean is that women in America should not be able to control their own bodies. I disagree. What Republicans mean when they talk about family values is that women should not be able to purchase the contraceptives they want. I disagree. And when Republicans talk about family values, what they are saying to our gay brothers and sisters that they should not be able to get married or enjoy all of the benefits of American citizenship. I disagree. Let's forget the Republicans now and forever. And let's talk about our family values. I have 4 beautiful kids, 7 beautiful grandchildren, and my wife Jane and I have been married for 27 years. Jane believes and you believe in family values, but our values are a little bit different than Republican family values. And when I talk about family values, I believe that the United States must end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on earth, the only one, which does not guarantee workers paid medical and family leave. So when we talk about family values, let us understand that today in LA, today in my state of Vermont, a woman gave birth. And that is obviously an enormous day for that woman, for the father, for the family, and a pretty big day for the baby as well. But here's the point. If that woman and her family have sufficient income, that mom and that dad can stay home and love that baby, get to know that baby, bond with that baby. And all of you who are parents know what an extraordinary moment that is in our lives. Yeah. And if that mom and family have income, she can stay home with that baby for weeks and months, as she should be able to do. But there are moms who just gave birth today in LA, just gave birth today in my state of Vermont, who don't have a lot of money. And those moms, because they lack money, will be forced to go back to work in 1 week or 2 weeks. They will be separated. They will be separated from their babies in the most important moments of that baby's life and the mom's life. That is not a family value. To have the United States join virtually every country on earth and guarantee at least 12 weeks of paid family leave. And we also have to end the disgrace of seeing a situation where a kid is sick, but mom can't stay home because she doesn't have any paid sick leave. That's got to end. And at a time when, as a result of the collapse of the American middle class, our people are working the longest hours of any people in a major country on earth. 85% of male workers are working more than 40 hours a week. 65% of women workers working more than 40 hours a week. 100 years ago, workers marched through the streets demanding a 40-hour work week. We haven't reached it yet. Country deserves at least 2 weeks paid vacation. about the economy. Whenever pollsters go out and they call you up and they say, well, what is the issue uppermost on your mind? And invariably, what people say is the issue of jobs. People understand that if you're 55 years of age today, you may go to work tomorrow, and your employer may say, well, I'm really sorry, we have to let you go, but we're hiring somebody half your age and half your pay. And if you are young, a high school graduate, or if you are a new college graduate, you know how hard it is to find a job commensurate with your education. So when real youth unemployment is over 40%, when general national unemployment is over 10%, we need a massive federal jobs program to put our people back to work. And the fastest and most effective way to do that is to take a look at our crumbling infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our water systems, our wastewater plants, our rail, our airports. And when we rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, we can create, with a $1 trillion investment, 13 million good-paying jobs. It is not just creating new jobs, it is making sure we do not continue to lose jobs. Since 2001, we have lost almost 60,000 factories in America, millions of good-paying jobs. And the major reason for that is a disastrous trade policy which has allowed corporate America to shut down here and move our jobs abroad. We need a trade policy which creates good-paying jobs here, protects poor people abroad, not just making billions for CEOs. Continue to help lead the fight against the TPP. When we use words like greed, dishonesty, arrogance, recklessness, these are just some of the words to describe Wall Street. As a result of the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior on Wall Street, this country was plunged into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Millions of people lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their life savings. I find it interesting that a kid who smokes marijuana can get an arrest record, but the CEOs who help destroy the economy get away with it. middle class of this country bailed out Wall Street because those banks were too big to fail. And yet today, most of those banks are bigger than they were when we bailed them out because they were too big to fail. We need a financial system which provides affordable loans to small and medium-sized businesses to help us create jobs. We don't need a financial system which is an island unto itself, designed only to make huge profits for a handful of people. In my view, not only do we have to reestablish Glass-Steagall legislation, but more importantly, we have to understand that if a bank is too big to fail, it is too big to exist. We got to prove it. Brothers and sisters, let me be as blunt as I can in telling you that as a result of the disastrous Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case, the American political system has been totally corrupted, and the foundations of American democracy are being undermined. By a 5-4 Supreme Court decision, what the Supreme Court said to the wealthiest people in this country, they said, guys, you already own much of the economy. Now we're going to give you the opportunity to own the United States government, and that is what they are trying to do right now. One family, the Koch brothers. A family, an extreme right-wing family that believes we should end Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Environmental Protection Agency. When you have one family spending more money in this election cycle than either the Democrats or the Republicans. Brothers and sisters, you're not talking about democracy, you're talking about oligarchy, and we have got to stop it. During the campaign so far, but let me repeat one promise I have made to you, and that is any nominee of mine, the U.S. Supreme Court, will in fact have to pass a litmus test. And that litmus test will be that he or she will state loudly and clearly that they will vote to overturn Citizens United. Too many people, and I'm the former chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I talk to all kinds of veterans. Too many men and women have put their lives on the line to defend American democracy, to allow a handful of billionaires to take it away from us. united. We have to go further than that. We need to move toward public funding of elections. Regardless of their political views, they're conservative, moderate, progressive, whatever it is, I want to see people be able to run for office, to defend their points of view, to engage in debate without having to beg millionaires and billionaires for handouts. About democracy, let me say this. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at an event with Martin Luther King III and people in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And what we were talking about and what we were celebrating was the 50th anniversary of the all-important Voting Rights Act. Which grew out of the struggle of millions of people for so many years. What that act was about was to say that in the United States of America, every person, regardless of his or her color, was going to be able to vote. But as many of you know, 2 years ago, Supreme Court gutted a major provision of the Voting Rights Act. And the result of that is that in Republican states, many Republican states, governors and legislatures began to pass laws to suppress the vote. Under the guise of fighting voter fraud, they intentionally made it harder for low-income people, for people of color, for older people, for students to participate in the political process. And let me say this. I'm a politician. I have run for office in the state of Vermont many times. Sometimes, most of the times, I won. Sometimes I lost. But it never occurred to me that the way to win an election was to deny people who disagreed with me the right to vote. In fact, those people who don't have the guts to go out and tell people what they think, those candidates who don't believe they can win based on their ideas, those candidates, those governors, those Republican states who are trying to keep people from participating in the political process are nothing more than cowards. Legislation for universal voter registration. If you're 18 years of age in this country, you should be registered to vote. End of discussion. Today, the United States is living in a very competitive global economy. And for us to succeed, we need to have the best educated workforce in the world. It is beyond my comprehension how today we have a situation where hundreds of thousands of bright, qualified young people who have studied hard, people with a burning desire to go to college, but they can't go to college because their families lack the money. That's wrong. The right to become teachers and doctors and scientists, and it is a terrible idea for the future of our economy. And that is why I have introduced legislation and will make happen as president, creating a situation where public colleges and universities in America are tuition free. Not only where every person in this country who has the ability and has the desire can go to college regardless of income, but this is also what I want. You know and I know that there are kids in LA today in the 3rd or 4th grade, kids in my state, Vermont, 5th grade, 6th grade. Their parents never went to college. They don't know any people who have gone to college. And the idea of going to college for them is nothing more than a dream which they believe they will never fulfill. I want those kids in the 3rd grade and the 5th grade to understand that if they do their schoolwork seriously, if they study hard, they will be able to go to college. Higher education in America, we are also aware that millions of Americans, some young and some not so young, are being overwhelmed by outrageous student debts and high interest rates on those debts. It makes no sense to me that we have people paying 8, 9, 10% interest rates on student debt when we can refinance our homes for 2 or 3%. So the legislation that I've introduced will allow people to refinance at lower interest rates and also get the government out of profiteering on high interest rates. I have talked to too many people who are paying 20, 25% of their limited income paying off their student debt. That has got to end. When we talk about our responsibilities as human beings and as parents, there is nothing more important than leaving our planet healthy and habitable for our kids. The scientific community has spoken in an almost unanimous voice. Climate change is real, caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and around the world. And what they tell us is if we don't get our act together soon, the situation will become much worse. They're telling us that by the end of this century, if we allow business to go on as usual, this planet will be between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. That means more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea levels, more international conflict as people fight for limited natural resources. We have the moral responsibility to lead the world in transforming our energy system. Moving away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. As perhaps the most progressive member of the Senate, needless to say, I have many disagreements with my Republican colleagues. But on this issue, what we are seeing is an international embarrassment because the vast majority of Republicans are rejecting science, and we cannot do that. And I urge my Republican colleagues not to worry so much about your campaign contributions from the Koch brothers and ExxonMobil and the coal companies. Worry about the future for your kids and your grandchildren.